On this episode of Low Budget Gaming, we are going to be taking a look at Slipstream 5000. Or at least, that's what I was originally planning to say. But then a couple of weeks back, a friend of mine was talking about how he was going to check out a particular game once it came out of beta. It was called Cthulhu Realms. Now, as of this recording, that game is still not out yet, but it is based on another game called Star Realms, which itself is derived from a tabletop game of the same name. Now, on his recommendation, I downloaded it and gave it a try. And I really kind of liked it. So, today, I thought I'd tell you a bit about it.
Star Realms started life as a tabletop card game funded through Kickstarter in 2013. A digital version was later released on PC and Mac as well as Android and iOS devices. It's a very simple deck building game. Now, when I say deck building, some of you out there are probably thinking of games like Hearthstone, Magic, or hell, even Pokemon. Probably not many of you, but some of you. So I will now toss it over to me on the camera for a bit of needless clarification.
On the microphone. You see, there's a big difference between Star Realms and other games like your Hearthstones and your Magics. Those are what are known as collectible card games, or CCGs. You know, with CCGs, you're building your own deck by going out to stores on your own time and spending your own money to get as many cards as you possibly can. Meanwhile, your opponents are doing the same. You're trying to build a deck strong enough, powerful enough to take down any possible deck your potential opponents could throw at you. It all comes down to skill, a lot of luck of the draw, and, let's be honest, who has more money to throw at more cards. Meanwhile, with deck builders, both you and your opponent are building your deck from a shared pool of cards. It has more of an equal focus on luck of the draw and skill with the cards you're dealt. But more importantly, no one player has an advantage over the other going into the game. Now, back to me on the microphone.
Thanks, me on the camera. So, in Star Realms, you have three resources to deal with. Trade, which you use to buy cards from the trade row, Combat, which you use to attack your opponent, and Authority, which serves as this game's equivalent of health. So I don't need to tell you what happens if it gets to 0. Each player starts with a very basic deck, consisting of 8 Scouts, which generate 1 trade each, and 2 Vipers, each of which gives you 1 combat. To begin the game, you draw either 3 or 5 cards, depending on if you're going first or second. From that point, each turn has 3 phases. In the main phase, you play whatever cards you've drawn, and use their abilities if you wish, then use any trade and or combat you've gathered to buy cards from the trade row, or beat up on your opponent a bit. Then in the discard phase, you place all ships you've played into your discard pile, while in the process losing any trade and combat you haven't used. Then in the draw phase, you draw a new hand of 5 cards from your draw pile. If you run out of cards while drawing, then you shuffle your discard pile to make a new draw pile, and continue drawing. There are 2 types of cards you can play. Ships, which are played once and then discarded, and bases, which stay in play constantly until destroyed, at which point they are discarded, and which themselves have 2 types, regular bases and outposts. If a player has an outpost in play, then the outpost has to be destroyed first before the player or any of his regular bases can be dealt with. Also, when attacking outposts, your combat must meet or exceed the defense value of the outpost you want to attack, meaning if your opponent has 1 or more outposts in play and you don't have enough combat for one of them, you can't attack. At all. Personally, I'm not sure if I like that idea. Now, I can see why you have to attack the outpost first. I mean, after all, it is a defense, but why does it have to be destroyed all or nothing style? How drastic a change to the gameplay would it be to be able to chip away at an opponent's defense, or maybe have a card that reduces outpost's defense by a fraction? Anyway, all cards you play, be they ships or bases, will have 1 or 2 resources on them, an ability you can use, or a combination of the two. Resources on ships you play are collected immediately upon playing them. Ship abilities, depending on what they do, can either be activated immediately upon playing, or by the player at any time before the discard phase. Abilities that require the player to activate them don't necessarily have to be played. Base resources are again collected immediately upon playing, but because the bases are constantly in play, you collect them every turn. Ditto with their abilities, those that don't need input from the player activate automatically every turn. And many cards also have abilities which can be activated in other ways. Abilities with a trash can icon next to their description means that card has to be scrapped to activate it. Scrapped cards go into a scrap heap and cannot be used again in that game. Then we come to the aspect of the game whence it derives its title. Many cards will have a colored border with an icon in the upper left corner. This icon indicates the realm with which that card is associated. You have the Trade Federation, whose cards are mostly focused on getting you, surprise surprise, trade, with a select few cards gaining you combat or authority. Abilities in this faction are mainly focused on drawing more cards. Then there's the Star Empire, whose resources consist of almost all combat, and whose abilities seem fairly evenly split between allowing you to draw or forcing your opponent to discard. The Star Empire also has what I consider one of the more, if not the most, powerful card in the base set, the Fleet HQ, a base which every turn gives you 1 combat for every ship you play, and which is a butt to destroy. Next is the Machine Cult, which has the least amount of resource cards among the 4 realms, only 7, and of those, 4 can give you combat, 2 give you trade, and 1 offers you a choice between the 2. The majority of cards from this realm have abilities which involve scrapping cards. Lastly, there's the Blobs. Again, more combat than anything else in the resource department, with mostly drawing-based abilities, although 1 allows you to acquire any card from the trade row without paying for it. So, why did I bring up the realms in the first place? It's because most realm cards also have abilities with their respective realm icons next to their description. These abilities activate if another card from the same realm is played along with it, making for some pretty damn powerful combinations if you play your cards right. I don't know if I have a favorite realm per se, but more often than not, I do find myself going for the Trade Federation for the extra trade, and the Blobs, as they seem to have more powerful cards for less trade, although I do stand by what I said earlier about the Fleet HQ. When you put its main ability together with any extra abilities from playing matching realm cards, plus its high defense, and especially if the person controlling it has any outposts in play, in my opinion, whoever holds the Fleet HQ has the game, or at least a major advantage. Another reason I like the Blobs, they have a card which is pretty much Fleet HQ's kryptonite, as it allows you to destroy any base you want. Since its release, the tabletop version of Star Realms has had several expansions released. There's the Gambit set, several expansions under the title Crisis, and even an expansion called Colony Wars, which has a whopping 128 cards and can be played on its own or with the main game. And the digital version is starting to catch up in the expansion department. It has one of the expansions from the Crisis sets, Bases and Battleships, which adds 2 bases and several new ships to the game, as well as the Gambit expansion. When you buy the Gambit expansion for the digital game, it also includes what are known as Year 1 promo cards, another set of bases and ships originally given away at tournaments and events. As for the Gambits themselves, they play much differently from other cards. There are 9 in all, and 2 are dealt at random to each player at the start of each game. Gambits cannot be destroyed, and all but one of them have scrap abilities. The one that doesn't gives you 1 combat at the start of every turn. Woe betide he who would play against the man in control of this and Fleet HQ. According to the developers, another expansion is on the way for the digital game, and while they didn't say which one or when, they did say it would be sometime in the not-too-distant future. The game has several modes of play. Firstly, there's a tutorial with 4 sections on the basics of the game, which won't take you long to master at all. And you can play against an AI with standard rules on easy, medium, or hard difficulty. You can engage in a single-player campaign. Most of the missions therein are played with standard Star Realms rules, but some have unique twists to them for a bit of variety. Be warned, however, the difficulty ramps up significantly with each mission. You can also play against a friend, either in person with the pass and play mode, or online. Now, it's playing against friends where you're going to find most of the enjoyment for this game, as once you've gotten the hang of the mechanics and a bit of practice, even playing against the hard AI will be no more than a casual experience, and the massive difficulty spikes in the campaign just sucked away any fun the mode had to offer for me.
Well, before we start talking about the pros and cons of the game, did I just knock this thing back? No, I didn't. Okay, you're good. All right, anyway. Before we figure out where exactly this goes on here, before I knock it over, we should probably talk a bit about the price. It is free to download initially on whatever device you want to put it on. And with the free version, you can play against the easy AI, and you can play the first chapter of the campaign, and I believe that's about it. Now, it costs $4.99 to unlock the full version. And once you've done that, all you need to do is create a username and a password, and boom, you've got it on all 4 devices, which is actually pretty damn nice. The expansions, as far as they're concerned, the Gambit expansion is $3.99, and that unlocks the next 2 chapters of the single-player campaign, as well as including the Year 1 promo cards, those rare ones given out at the tournament, which is why the expansion is more expensive than the others. And the Bases and Battleships expansion is $1.99, and that unlocks the final chapter. And once again, once you've unlocked an expansion on one device, you've got it on all 4. Pretty darn handy. Also of note, right now the only way to download the game on your PC or your Mac is through the game's website. But it is currently on Steam Greenlight, with release slated for early 2016, according to the Greenlight page. No word yet, however, if the Steam version will have any new features that, the Android or mobile or PC or what have you devices don't. Anyway, speaking of PC, onto this version. I do like, again, how you can just buy it on one device and basically have it on all 4, available on all 4 anyway. It's almost like getting 4 games for the price of 1, I think. And I do like how if you start a game online on one device, say your phone, you can go to your computer and finish it, or continue it and finish it on your phone, whatever you want to do. That's, again, going back to the interconnectivity. That's what I get for trying those big words, I stumble, of the games. But things I don't like, well, I've kind of touched on them already. The campaign, the difficulty spikes in it, just, it ruins any fun it had. It was fun at first with the twists and the rules and everything, but then it just got too difficult too quickly, I felt. And I just don't really like the campaign that much. And again, see, this is the main thing, I think. The main point about where this is going to go. The multiplayer mode is fun, going back and forth with your friends, playing the game. And if you're looking for a good multiplayer experience, then this is the game for you. Absolutely, go get it. I can put it right here, right now. But, if you're looking for a good, long, or lengthy single-player experience, then, I don't know. Now, there are future expansions coming, as I said, so this could change what I'm about to do. But, as it is right now, I don't think the single-player campaign is good enough to hold your interest for long. It might not be. I don't know you personally. But I'm putting it right here with the caveat that if future expansions come out that change it, make it better in any way, then I'll move it over here. And likewise, if they make it worse somehow, it goes over there. But for now, my official verdict would be that it is just worth a look. And thankfully, you can just look at it with the free version.
Thank you so much for watching, Mina, and a special thank you to the developers of the game who were kind enough to answer some of the questions I had about the game while making this video. This game has gotten me feeling a bit spacey, so today I've got links to a couple of more games set in the stars for you to check out, along with the entire low-budget gaming playlist. Please be sure to let me know what you think of the show by commenting, liking, sharing, and all that good stuff, and don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. I promise, I'm not as weird as you might think. Well, maybe not anyway. Arigatou gozaimasu. 次回まで。さよなら。